going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. You know, when I was growing up, there was consequences to your actions, or at least at my house, and I think it's that way pretty much everywhere with everyone that I knew at the time. If you got out of line, there was consequences. If you didn't go do your chores, there was consequences. If you backtalked your parents, there was consequences. You know, when I was growing up, if I had backtalked my mom, which I tried, every kid does so far they can get. I was one of those kids that tried to push and poke and poke and poke just to see how far I could get, see what I could get by with. And with my mom, you couldn't get by with a whole lot, because if you poked just a little bit, she'd come at you with a belt and give you a good whipping, and you would learn better than to be poking and agitating, because she knew what I was doing and she knew how to nip it in the bud, and she nipped it in the bud really quickly. There was consequences for my actions. If I didn't do what I was told to do, there was consequences for my actions. Now, it seems that no one is worried about any consequences. They think they can do whatever they want, whenever they want, without any consequences, without any bad thing happening. They think that they can say what they want to say, do what they want to do, and there's not going to be any consequences for that. Take here, you know, on YouTube. The trolls here on YouTube, they like to sit at their computer or on their phone, on their tablets, and they like to get on here and like to leave comments and troll and insult and things like that, because they think that there's no consequences to their actions. They think that they are anonymous. They can hide behind that computer, hide behind that phone, and say whatever they want to say, and they're not going to get punched in the mouth, knocked to the ground, and their head stomped in. So they're brave. These same people, you know, to your face, wouldn't say anything to that sort. They'd be nice and kissing your ass. That's just the way it goes, because they've been brought up. No consequences to their actions. You know, most of these people, when they were children, they would backtalk their mothers. You know, I've dated women that their kids, you know, would backtalk them like everything, tell their moms to shut up, call their moms a bitch, and those kinds of things like that. And they wouldn't get nothing done. No consequences to their actions. And like I said, it's the same thing here, you know, on YouTube. No consequences to these people's actions, so they think they can say and do whatever they want to say and do. Same thing in society. People have this attitude that they can say, do whatever, and no consequences to their actions. And that's simply, you know, not the case. There are consequences to your actions, especially when it comes to preparedness. No one wants to take action. No one wants to do anything, and they want to think and pretend that if something does happen, it's happening now, but most people are too stupid to realize what's going on, and they don't see it, and they refuse to see it. So they make every excuse that they can. They come up with every reason they can't prep, every reason they shouldn't prep, because they think that if something does happen, that someone else will feed them, someone will take care of them, that the government will come along and take care of them. They think that the pre-tribulation rapture is going to happen. They think that somehow, you know, I've heard this before, people have said in the comments, and I've heard this in church and things too, that God will always provide. God provides for the birds of the air. So you're not going to let us starve. And they fail to look at history. They fail to look at all the Christians that have starved, that have been enslaved, that have been beheaded, that have been murdered. You know, John the Baptist was beheaded. Jesus himself was crucified. And if you look at this history, the wars, the pestilence, the famine, and all the Christians that have starved to death, that have been persecuted, that have been murdered for their beliefs, and people can still now, at this day and age, knowing history, can say it's going to be all right. Nothing's going to happen. You got to trust God. And you do have to trust God, but you also have to get off your ass and do something. You have to get out and you have to earn it. You have to prepare. God give you enough sense and discernment to see what's happening. And it also gives you instructions in the Bible to prepare to be ready. There's several examples in the Bible that tells us to be preppers, to prepare for what's coming, to prepare for hard times. And most people just don't listen. And they think that, like I said, if something bad happens, there's going to be no consequences to their actions, no consequences for not preparing, that God's going to bring them a hamburger whenever they get hungry. He's going to bring them caviar or whatever they like to eat, fried chicken or whatever, and just hand it to them. God is giving you opportunity now. He is letting you hear this message right now. He's telling you right now to prepare, because hard times are here. It's going to get much, much worse. There's going to be the Antichrist, the mark of the beast. There's going to be the four horsemen of the apocalypse. So that all translates into very, very difficult times. And this whole pre-tribulation rapture thing, there's an article on my website about this. I'll link to it because you can go read my thoughts about that. Causes people not to prepare because they think that somehow they're better than everyone else was in history. That is, every Christian in history has suffered, that hasn't been raptured, that has starved to death, died, been enslaved, been persecuted. They think somehow now they're better. And if it gets too bad, before it gets too bad, God will come back and get his people. That's not going to be the case. A lot of people are going to be upset about that, disagree with that, and that's fine. Go read my article, see my thoughts on that, and see why I don't think that it's biblical. It was a guy named Darby that came up with this, the pre-tribulation rapture. And, people don't want to believe they're going to suffer. They want to look for the easy out because prepping is too hard, it's too difficult. They want to look for the easy out. So they followed in with this pre-tribulation rapture belief system. There's consequences to your actions. If you don't heed the warning, if you don't take the advice, and if you don't prepare, you're going to suffer. If you don't die very quickly, you're going to suffer. You're going to suffer over the long haul. Times are bad now for a lot of people. Some people haven't really noticed because they're still living in this fantasy world where they refuse to see what's going on. And things are still fairly normal on the outside, on the surface, but deep down it's not. It's going to get much, much worse. And these people think that they can do nothing, they can not prepare, they can not listen, they can go on and take their vacations, they can buy fancy things to show off to their neighbors, they can go on cruises and just live it up, and nothing's going to ever happen. And if it does, there'll be no consequences to them for not preparing. They didn't prepare, but it's going to be okay because before it gets too bad, pre-tribulation rapture is going to happen. Or God's going to bring them, a hamburger, or a cheeseburger, a fried chicken every day with them doing nothing. Or if it gets too bad, the government will come along and feed them. They can live off their neighbors. They can, at the worst, they're planning on going and actually trying to rob and take from preppers. Going to try to raid people's gardens, trying to raid people's farm animals and things to feed themselves. That's the plan of some of these people. Instead of actually trying to prepare, actually looking at things the way things actually are, and realizing how bad a shape that we're in, and how bad a shape that we're going to be in very, very shortly. Because everything is happening at more and more rapid pace right now. So people that pays any attention to it all can see what's happening. But like I said, most still refuse to listen. I can talk to people and try to explain to people, what's going on, about the Great Reset, about the digital currency doing away with cash, them trying to control the food. I can tell them about, the chemtrails and blocking out the sun. It's they're saying it, but you can tell people about that, and they're like, just got that dumb look in their eyes. And you can tell they're just wanting to get away because they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear something that's not mainstream. They don't want to hear something that doesn't go along with their predetermined beliefs. They want to hear America, United States, is the home of the free, land of the brave. The currency's strong, military strong, we can't be beat. We're a democracy, we've got a constitution, the government follows the constitution, our vote counts, blah, 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 blah. If you tell them that it's all bullshit, they don't want to hear it, they don't want to believe it. Even if you show them undisputable fact right in their face, they're still like trying to get away from you, you know, and they're just looking, it's like they're looking through you because they don't want to hear it. Because if they admit to the way things are, then they will have to admit that they need to prepare, that they need to prep. And prepping's so hard, and they don't want to do that. They want to go out, and they want to buy fancy jewelry. They want to buy a larger television. They want to buy a fancier automobile and go in debt. They want to have a bigger house and a bigger house payment and a mortgage. They want to go on cruise ship trips. They want to travel. And because it's fun, they don't want to prepare. And you know, if you are prepared and you're paid up in your debts, there's nothing wrong with buying something extra, doing something that's fun. However, if you're doing this and you're going in more and more debt to do these things, then you're stupid, in my opinion. You need to get out of debt, you need to prepare. But people won't listen, like I said, because it's too difficult, it's too hard. They don't want to prepare. And you can talk until you're blue in the face, and people come on here in these YouTube videos, and in the comments, oh, you're stupid. You preppers are so full of shit, it's not even, I mean, I've heard this stuff for years now, that it's going to all crash, it's going to all come tumbling down. And what we're facing now is different than what we faced in what we've been talking about in the past. A lot of preppers had it wrong about what's going to happen, what's going to go on. You know, a lot of preppers base their thoughts and preparedness on this fictional movie type scenario, this fiction novel type scenarios that's come out of somebody's imagination, and not what's going to actually be like. They think it's just fiction, it's something to watch. It's not ever going to really happen. And like I said, I don't think it's going to be exactly like a lot of the fantasy people's had. You know, like bugging out to the woods to live, for example, like a lot of people planned on doing, get their bug out bag, head to the woods to live and wait the disaster out. Or, you know, a total complete collapse of everything, government and everything gone. Government, in my opinion, is going to be one of the worst enemies that we have during this collapse. They're putting in these control structures, like the digital currency I talked about yesterday, and they're going to try their best to control all the resources, try to control the people, and they're going to be, you know, the biggest enemy, I think, for preppers and everyone in general, and just their actual survival. They want you to be completely dependent on them, and unfortunately, that's what a lot of people seem to want to be. They want to be dependent on the government. And if you're dependent on anyone else, especially the government, be it local, state, federal government, then you're in a bad situation. And when you're starving, you're going to have no other alternative than to get on that train and head out to that smart city, head out to that concentration camp, head out to that death chamber. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. In the Creekmore Magazine, I'll see you all in the next video, hopefully.